What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to our Brighton and Hove Albion preview here on Anfield Agenda. The Reds take on the Seagulls at 3 p.m. on Saturday, which means it won't be broadcast on TV in the UK. But of course, don't worry, we here at Anfield Agenda have got you covered. Our match coverage will start from 1:45 p.m. We'll take you right through the game with our match reaction, player ratings video, and even a late night agenda on Saturday night as well. For now, I'm going to do what I always do. Go through the starting 11, give you my take on what I think the manager should do. We'll give you a bit of a background on our opponents and our recent history against them, as well as their own form. And then, of course, we'll give you a score prediction. We'd love to know your thoughts, so feel free to let us know in the comment section. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So look, there is a lot to go through here, and of course, we are coming off the back of a very welcome victory against Inter Milan in the Champions League. But I'm very interested to see how the Reds get back on at home, because Anfield has been a fortress for us over the years, but over the last couple of months, it's been a bit anxiety-laden. So let's see what does happen with this one. And with regard to the availability of some of the players, well, Connor Bradley won't be available as he's suspended for picking up too many yellow cards. Jeremy Frimpong, whilst back training, probably won't be fit enough to start this game, maybe on the bench, but we'll wait to hear from Arna on that one. Other than that, it's Giovanni Leone, another long-term absentee, and I don't really think we've got too many more concerns. Gakpo won't be in for this one. We're still waiting to hear if Chiesa has returned after his illness, and of course Endo was ruled out for Inter Milan as well. So that's where we're at. Hopefully the manager can start getting legs and bodies back soon. But that being said, as you can see from the layout there, I'm going to stick with the system that he deployed over against Inter Milan, which is basically a 4-4-2 diamond, or any variation of that you want to call it, a 4-3-2-1, or a 4-3-1-2, a 4-1-2-1-2. You get where I'm coming from. I think it did give us some defensive solidity over at the San Siro, but there was some limitations to that as well, and that was, of course, the fact that we didn't have much width. Now, we don't know where Mohamed Salah's at in this situation yet either. Is he going to be available for the game? Don't know, so I've had to err on the side of caution and leave him out. So that's where we're at with availability. Now let's have a little look at a bit of a background on our opponents, Brighton, and of course their recent form as well as our recent games against them. So, Liverpool have lost just one of the last 8 Premier League home games against Brighton, winning 5 and drawing 2. Though it was the only other time that they faced them as a competition's reigning champions, which is not a statistic we want to hear, right? Hopefully we can break that, and as reigning champions we can beat them this time. The team scoring first hasn't won any of the last 4 Premier League meetings between Brighton and Liverpool, drawing 1 and losing 3, since a 3-0 victory for the Seagulls in January 2023. Liverpool have just 23 points, winning 7, drawing 2 and losing 6, and have conceded 24 goals in the Premier League this season, the worst start by a reigning champion in both metrics after 15 games since Leicester way back in 2016-2017. The head-to-head looks like this. Premier League 24-25, it was Brighton and Hove Albion 3, Liverpool 2. And then in the reverse fixture was Liverpool 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. In the EFL Cup last season, Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Liverpool 3. So the omens are good there, apart from the Amex result in the league last season. Here's a look at Brighton's recent form coming into this one. In the Premier League, it was Brighton 1, West Ham 1. They lost then 3-4 to Aston Villa at the Amex. Nottingham Forest 0, Brighton 2 was a good away victory for them in the Premier League. Brighton 2, Brentford 1, also in the Prem, was a good win for Brighton at home. And Crystal Palace 0, Brighton 0 in what is somehow the weirdest derby in football. So that is their recent form coming into this one. You know what we're facing, which is not a great run in the league so far. But the positive, the optimist in me says we are 4 games unbeaten, 2 wins, 2 draws in all competitions. If we can beat Brighton, we've got a week between games and even more time then for the manager to get on the training ground with the players and try to sort all this out. So let's get stuck into my predicted 11. And remember, there's no Connor Bradley, no Mohamed Salah in this squad. Bradley's suspended and we just don't know what's going on with Salah. So let's start with the goalkeeper and the centre-backs. There is no real options here for the manager to change. So Alisson Becker in goal and Virgil van Dijk and Canary are bound to be the centre-back pairing. Moving into the full-back positions, you got to go with Joe Gomez here because, as I mentioned, Connor Bradley isn't available. So Joe Gomez at right back. And I would go with Milos Kerkez at left back because we're at home and I'd like to see us on the attack. I'd like to see us using more of the width that we have available to us particularly with a very narrow system. I think the fullbacks are going to be incredibly important in that. And because we're at home, I think the onus is going to be on us to push the game, which is why I've gone for Kirkes over Robertson. In midfield, the Ryan Gravenberch anchor will be there to split the centre-backs and be the deeper line player. But ahead of him, I've gone for Jones and Szoboszlai because I just don't think Mac has been anywhere near good enough, and Jones has been one of our better players over the last few games. And look, I don't need to convince you of how good Szoboszlai has been this season, so that would be my midfield there. And then ahead of them, I've gone for Florian Wirtz in the hole behind the two strikers. And with the strikers, I do mean two strikers, Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a lot for Alexander Isak to prove, and he needs to start scoring and getting back to the form that we know he's capable of very soon. But I've always said over the last while, we need to look to the future, and the future is going to be Wirtz, Isak, Ekitike. So I'd like to see us go with that formation that we did at the San Siro, but hopefully have a bit more action, particularly down the left hand side. Robertson was quite deep. He wasn't given the license to get forward anywhere near as much as Joe Gomez was on the other side. So I'd like to see Milos Kerkez given the ability to get up and down that flank. There is no Cody Gakpo there to be getting in each other's way either. So that is why I would go with that system again, ladies and gents. And once again, to run through my 11, Alisson Becker in goal, your left back Milos Kerkez, right back Joe Gomez, centre back pairing of Ibrahim Kanade and your captain Virgil van Dijk. In midfield, Ryan Gravenberch, Curtis Jones and Dominic Szoboszlai with Florian Wirtz in the hole ahead of them, and then up top Alexander Isak and Hugo Ekitike. So that's what I do. Now I want to know what you guys would do. There isn't really much width available to us, full stop, in this one. Yes, Rio Engamoa would be an option. Yes, Fede could be an option. But we all know that it's very unlikely that either of those two start. If they do, pleasant surprise. But allowing for that and the fact that Salah is still not committed to be available for the game, I just think we have to stick with the same system because we don't have any natural width in the team. Brighton are going to be a different animal to Inter Milan. And I know that sounds weird, but they've got far more counter-attacking speed and pace, whereas that Inter Milan team is a bit more one-dimensional, full of good technical footballers, but they didn't have any of the blistering pace that Brighton will have on the counter. So that is my take on the starting 11, but of course we haven't given you a score prediction just yet. So this is what I've gone for. The Reds to get back to winning ways in the league with a 3-1 victory is my prediction, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it is a tad optimistic, but look, we got to be winning these games. And if Arna really has got the dressing room together and they really are pulling in the same direction, then you'd hope that this will be a fruitful afternoon at Anfield. It is always a difficult game when Brighton come to town, but we got to get back to winning ways. It's as simple as that. So it's over to you guys now to let us know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know your score predictions. And of course, we'll be live for the game from 1:45 p.m. See you then. Much appreciated. Bye-bye.